Everybody back in? We good? So what'd you think? Good? Good tour? I know it wasn't the tour you wanted.
Thank you.
But what did you think? It's not pretty nice, huh? Wow, not all at once. So, as I said, Suzy and I will walk you through some of the construction and answer some of your questions, and then we'll get this ball rolling. But to get it rolling, let's wake you people up.
History has never seen a convergence like this. The might of 5 Roman gods in one record-breaking coaster. Strength, speed, power. Witness the force of the new Pantheon. The world's fastest multi-launch coaster reached 73 miles per hour with 15 airtime hills, flying forward and backward with a 95-degree drop. Epic thrills come together in the new Pantheon. Coming in 2020 to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg.
So there we go. So Suzy mentioned that the park opens what, March 15th? Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. March 15th for the spring season for 2020, and then we anticipate, as we said, we got quite a few things to do yet at Pantheon, but we're making great progress. No snow. Temperatures have been pretty normal for this year. So that's helping our progress as we move forward. We anticipate, sometime in spring. Of course, we'll make an official announcement to you all so that you can plan your trips to come and see Bed Ride Pantheon. But right now we're shooting for spring. I'm going to turn things over to Suzy now to walk you through the elements of each, which she talked to you a little bit about on the bridge, but this will give you a kind of an up-close view of everything. And then we'll open it up for a little Q&A, and then you can continue with your day. Before I do leave you, I want to thank you all for coming. This is a great turnout. We were in Fredericksburg last year with you guys, and I think you've doubled your attendance, and I appreciate you very much. As ACE members, you're part of our family, and we're excited that we're going to give you a new gift this spring with Pantheon. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Suzy Cheeley, and she'll walk you through some of the construction.
Hello again. Again, just to reiterate what Cindy said about apologizing about the site, but you see all that mud underneath there, all that will be wet and slick today, so we're just looking out for your safety. As you can see the track behind Jonathan, he's our corporate engineer for rides all throughout this park and the SeaWorld parks as well. I guess we can go to the next slide. Yeah. Oh, you're my slide person. Okay, all right, okay. When you can see all the twists and turns that we have, this is the one that comes right out of the station. I think they're calling it the outer side roll. So you're actually going to be inverted here, and then you're going to go into the first launch. Next one. So this is, okay, I think this, where is this? I'm trying to figure out where this is. Oh, okay, yeah. So, what was he calling it? He was calling it the Top Gun stall. Have you guys ever heard that expression? Okay, so this is the second inversion, and I don't know. It's just one thing after another, so we're real excited to be able to experience it. I just really can't wait. I'm sure you guys can't either. And then the top hat, I guess, is behind you. So on the left here, this is the spike or spire. After you go part way up the top hat, before you go all the way over, you're going to accelerate backwards, go up to the top of this spike, which is 90 degrees, and then drop forward before you're launched again to go over the top hat, which is on the right-hand side. The other thing that's kind of neat about this one, after you come down off of the top hat, you got the 95-degree drop, but see how close you get to the water? You're going to really be going very fast here. This is the top speed of the ride. Come very close to the Rhine River and bank around before you go back up again. And these are just some more great photos of did Scott do these? Scott Brown? Yeah, we have a great photographer. He's awesome. Again, the spike's on the right-hand side. The spike is actually 178 feet tall. The top hat, once you go up and down, it's a 180-foot drop. So, okay, this is the fast switch track that we talked about a little bit. It's actually the longest one in the world. And this is where, behind Jonathan, where you're going forward right before you go backward, the track switches back so that you go up that spire again. Okay. You guys have any, oh, you're going to show them the construction labs? Okay, this is awesome. It really didn't happen that fast. Kind of wish it would, but I don't know if you could tell, but there's a lot of excavation that has to happen to put the foundations in. So you have these big piles of dirt everywhere. And then the crane guy's going to come and say, well, we're going to have to move the crane here in order to reach it. So the site guy gets his equipment out and starts moving his pile over here. And then it's in the way of the electrician. So it gets pretty interesting sometimes. They try not to do that, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things. Because there's also a big sediment pond that's on site. We're going to be filling that in the next week or two, but that had to be excavated. You don't want to take the dirt off site because you need it to fill the hole. So it just gets kind of funny. We called it Pinkies Mountain. He was the site guy that kept moving it. Every once in a while he'd just shake his head, I gotta move it again, you know, that kind of thing. The other thing, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the crane was really one of the biggest ones we've had on any of our sites so far. In order to reach that spike and reach the top hat, we had to have a very large crane. I think it's like 300-ton crane. The crane actually came in all these Connex boxes. It took them, I think there were like 25 containers, and it took them 3 or 4 days just to put the crane together. So, you know, a lot goes into it. And, you know, we're thrilled to do it, but it's just a totally different type of construction that you would have anywhere else. But the result is worth it. So, you guys have any more questions about the construction or the ride or anything? Yes, sir. We're just here to talk about Pantheon today. There's a lot of plans that we have that, you know, we're looking forward, we're always considering different attractions, but yeah, just Pantheon today. Yes, sir.
Is it on? Okay, good. So obviously the speed changed right from the first announcement to the next one. What had to change with the ride in order to get that additional like half mile per hour?
They really just were analyzing the dynamics of it. I think, you know, Intamin was kind of looking at things. They have preliminary information, and then it gets fine-tuned towards the end. The amount of drawings that are on this ride are amazing, and we're constantly getting revisions. So you have to, it's really a job in itself just to kind of keep up with all the drawings and everything. But at some point, you know, he changed it, and then we're like, wow, we're the fastest in the world. So it's really kind of a neat thing. And even though there's just 2 launch locations, the fact that there's 4 launches, you know, the first one and then the second one where you're going forwards, backwards, and then forwards again. Each launch propels you a little bit faster. I think the last one is 67 miles per hour until you get up over the top hat and then come down again. So yeah, it's interesting. Good question. Yes, sir. You know, that's an operations question, but I would imagine so. The height restriction's 52 inches, which we're really excited about because we weren't sure. Some of our rides are a little bit taller than that, so 52 is wonderful. It's going to open it up to a lot more people.
What was one of your personal favorite elements?
I think I'm going to like the spire. I don't know, just the fact that you're going to go backwards at that speed, and then, you know, when you're going to go up there, obviously it's going to be a second or 2 before you start going down again. I just think that's going to be awesome. How about you?
Oh, well, you have to tell me, because I'll be watching from the ground. I don't know. You know, the top hat with the 95 degrees is pretty awesome, especially when you're out there looking at it. But what intrigues me is that high bank, the outer bank turn going over the river, and you're going sideways. That might get my attention too. And you know, the cars have a lap bar, so that gives me no reason to ride. But I'm going to try it once. I promise I'm going to try it once because it's beautiful. It's a stunning coaster. Can't wait to do it, so. Oh, sorry.
When you're putting a ride like this together, does the park come up with the design, or do you approach manufacturers and say, this is our site, give us something?
Do we design with the manufacturer, or there are our ideas as well?
Yeah. It's really a collaborative effort. We are looking at what our inventory of rides is, what type of rides we have, what type of rides we don't have that we want to add, and then we try to match it with a site. Okay, there's a lot of consideration along the way. When we do finally decide on the type of ride and the site, then we have to get a site survey done to actually record our topography. And then we pick the ride elements, how they're going to fit on the site, and try to combine it into a ride that's going to be exciting for us and, you know, successful, and something that our guests are going to like as well. I think this one really meets all the criteria. It's just going to be so much fun. It's got one element right after the other. So you're just going to be wondering what's next, you know, as you ride it. So I think we really hit a home run with this. Hopefully you all agree as well.
Okay. What type of G-forces do you expect to see in different elements of this coaster?
I really don't know. And yeah, so sorry.
Back. What was the hardest part of the designing process?
That's a good question. I guess, I don't know. It's not really that hard. It's just there's all the steps along the way. You know, even though we started construction in May, we're, you know, thinking about it and working on the drawings and the design for like a year or two ahead of time. This one, we do have a lot of slopes, which is really kind of nice. We were talking the other day about how in Florida, everything's flat, so pretty much, you know, you build up from there. So with ours, we kind of take advantage of the topography. I really like the fact that we're going down by the water. I think that's really kind of a neat thing. We do that at Bolton. You know, we kind of go down by the water, but with this one, you're going down and you're going to go by it a couple times. But because you're going down that far, you got columns, you know, in the pictures, they look really short. They're probably only maybe 10 or 12 feet tall, and in some cases smaller than that. So as you're riding the ride, you're going to almost feel like you can reach out and touch the ground. It gets that close before you go high again. So all that takes a lot of design effort. There's a lot of consideration about the foundations. You have to worry about the soil bearing pressure. So there's a lot of testing done initially before you actually can do the design. But it's just going through the steps and going through the stages. The switch track is kind of interesting. We don't have that anywhere else. This is the first one that we've had. And the fact that we have the longest one in the world is kind of crazy to me. But that's all on the ride manufacturer. So the nice thing is some of our engineers from corporate actually went over to Europe and saw it when it was being constructed and watched it moving back and forth. So there's certainly a comfort level in how everything's going to be played and work together. Good question.
You advertise as the world's most beautiful theme park. So how does the engineering, the theming, and the landscaping go together?
So the world's most beautiful theme park, how do we all work together to achieve that? Great question, because we do work together. You know, we've got the greatest landscaping team ever. You know, we have, the park that we have, with Busch Gardens, even in water country, that we have to plan our new attractions and, you know, new villages and that kind of thing around the natural topography of this park. And that's one of the fun things, because what we do is when you're, you know, walking down one of the pathways, you've got a surprise, like Alpengeist, you know, comes out of the ground over the woods. So it's really a team effort. We have to work with not only design engineering, but landscaping, park operations, you know, our maintenance. All of that has to work together in order for us to maintain that world's most beautiful theme park title that we are really, really proud of. But it takes everybody working together, because if Suzy just goes up, you know, puts up a new building and doesn't tell anybody, then we've got to come behind her and then start planning around her and all of that stuff. So it's a team effort. We have millions of meetings, but we plan. That's a great question. Thank you for that. Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about what's happening with Aquazoid?
I can't tell you about Aquazoid at this time, but stay tuned. Okay, there's always something, you know, we always have something new at the parks to offer. Always. Because we want to keep it fresh for you guys, but we also want to remain nostalgic with the attractions that are so popular with everybody and our guests. So stay tuned. Yes, sir.
We just have a lap bar. I don't know if we can kind of tell from here. It's gonna go over your head. The trains aren't here yet, but all the pictures that I've seen, that's what it looks like. It's a new train for Intamin, so we're the first ones to get it, or maybe we're not, but it's the first time we've had one here. But it's gonna go over your head and then down. You can see the metal structure on the outside. So, but it is just a lap bar, so that's why Cindy said she wasn't going to ride it.
I'm riding it. Put me down. I was riding it. Yes, sir.
Is there any idea if y'all gonna have this open for Christmas Town too? If that's gonna be one of the roller coasters or if it's not?
One more time, have a hard time hearing this.
Is this, do you have any idea yet if this is gonna be a coaster, one of the coasters you're gonna open up for Christmas Town, or is it gonna be closed for
Oh,
Christmas
yeah,
Town?
great question. No idea yet. We got to get it open for spring first. But that's a great question. Would be great if we could have it all open for Christmas Town. Don't know yet, but thank you.
On Pantheon, how many total track pieces are there?
Trains? Total trains? Track pieces, sorry.
Not total track. I don't know how many pieces, but there's like 3,328 linear feet of track. It's a lot. And some of the pieces are longer than others. There's a male end and a female end as they fit in, but yeah, I'll have to find out for you. Nobody's ever asked that.
So you mentioned theming. Is it been unveiled yet, or will it be the 5 gods? And is the theming known?
So, I don't know. I'm not sure what the theming of the station's going to look like. The 5 gods will be a part of that somehow. You maybe can speak a little bit more about the theming?
Yeah, so there's theming that goes into the station. Right now, there's not much there. I think we're actually finishing the construction of the theming, or the construction of the ride. But there will be theming at the station. There's going to be a entry sign in Festa. So the entrance is going to, I don't know if I told you that or not, the entrance is going to be through Festa Italia, kind of across from the teacups. So there's going to be a sign there. You're going to go up the steps, over a bridge, and down on the other side. The bridge goes over the train tracks. Then you go over the other side. There's a sidewalk that takes you parallel to the track, under the track, and then back around and up the stairs. So along the way, there's a big entry portal that'll be themed with Pantheon. And then there's several nods to the gods, let's say, along the way. So, and then in the station itself, there'll be some other nice surprises for you. But we're real excited. I mean, it's funny when we came up with the idea of Pantheon, we're like, well, how's that going to work? And then they had the suggestion of all the gods, and we're like, wow, it's just different, different from anything we've done before. We have worked with some wonderfully creative people. Like Cindy said, we have the best landscaping department ever, and just such creativity, even with our marketing folks. We're really, really proud of our staff.
All right, we're going to take one more. We're running out of time. Oh, don't do that to me. I'll give you one, and then you're my last one. Go ahead.
They're going to be
Go ahead.
Are there going to be any speakers around the ride with sound effects or any other special effects like fire or anything?
Not out on the ride, but as you approach the ride, we're going to have sound and music and that kind of thing for sure.
You're going to be too busy to be listening to anything. All right, you're my final question. Go ahead.
I know the Festa train station was closed at Christmas Town. Is that temporary for Pantheon construction, or is that permanent?
You're a great question, Sarah.
The train. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the train station in Festa was just closed for the construction. We had to build the supports for the bridge to go across, and time-wise, it just had to be done. So, yeah, great question. Yeah. You're going to be a project manager someday.
All right, kids. Have a great time today. Enjoy yourselves. Learn lots. And we'll see you in the spring. Thank you.